we had a Category 1 that almost turned into a Category 2 storm that directly impacted our island here in Saipan and the island of Tinian. What it did was there were winds of approximately 100 knots with gusts of maybe about 130 knots, and it caused widespread extensive damage, probably the worst damage that the Northern Marianas has experienced in the last 30 years. It has impacted our power system. Our main power plant with 4 generators is currently offline, as well as so there's no power anywhere on the island. They're anticipating it's going to take 3 to 4 weeks to restore the power. There were probably 300 or 400 power poles that collapsed during the storm. So there were many roads that were impassable due to the power lines on the road.
What about housing? Are people okay for housing, or are they people in emergency
shelters? For housing,
shelters?
we've got approximately 500 people, 500 individuals in government shelters right now. Many of those individuals and families are there clearly because their homes have had major damage or have been destroyed. So we're working with our government partners now to look for some short-term as well as long-term housing and shelter opportunities for those families.
This sounds like it's had a particularly severe impact. You wouldn't think it would happen from a Category 1 or 2 storm.
Yeah, it seems, we haven't really gotten the final statistics from our local U.S. National Weather Service, but I think that because the eye of the storm passed directly over the island, we were just more severely impacted than normally. I've lived in the region for 30 years, and I haven't seen a storm that's caused this much destruction, in all that time. There was a storm in 1986, Typhoon Kim. There was a super typhoon that really devastated the island, but I haven't seen something like this in a very, very long time.
Well, what's the Red Cross able to do in terms of relief for people there on Saipan?
Well, we're working, again, with our local government as well as the U.S. federal government partners like FEMA, and I've been in meetings with them most of the day, working on some strategies of getting relief supplies to the island. The airport, our commercial airport, just did open for daylight-only flights in and out. The seaport is still closed. There was an oil spill and a fuel spill in the harbor. So our federal agencies are, again, investigating those spills and making sure that the seaports are safe to enter and exit.
It sounds like the damage is so severe that the CNM might perhaps be looking at asking for help from offshore, from the United States or other aid partners.
No, absolutely. Well, we're already, fully integrated with our federal emergency management agency, which is based in D.C. They have a Region 9 office in Oakland, California, as well as a Pacific area office in Honolulu, Hawaii. And they already have perhaps 30 or 40 personnel on the ground here in the Marianas now. So the role of the Red Cross is really involved in the more of the humanitarian side, the human side of providing families with relief supplies and food and water. So the Red Cross now is providing food, 3 meals a day for all the residents in the shelters. So that's around 1,500 meals per day for those who are most adversely affected by the storm.
Well, speaking of the human side of things, I know there's been a price freeze ordered to prevent traders from ramping up the price of basic goods. Are some people trying to exploit the situation, or are people sort of trying to help each other out?
The price gouging, that often does happen during disasters. I have not heard or have any knowledge of any of that going on here at this time, so that's a good thing. But the thing that's a big concern for our community is that because the power grid was so severely damaged, and they're anticipating perhaps 1 month without power, that also means that the water supply will be affected as well. Most homes on the island, they have a small water catchment with a few hundred liters of water, but that's not going to take them more than 2 or 3 days, and then there really is going to be a shortage of water, potable water. So I know they're working on a plan to bring in water tankers into the villages so that people might be able to replenish some water supply. But it's going to be a big concern for those of us in the the humanitarian services.